The Planning Advisory Committee, Wednesday, January 31st. We'll now call the meeting to order. The time is 5:03 p.m. Approval of the agenda. We will now proceed with item number 2. Approval of the agenda, that the agenda for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of January 31st, 2024 be approved as presented. Do I have a mover? And a seconder, Leanne? All in favor? Motion carried. Are there any declarations of interest this evening?
I have one for 5.2.
Thank you.
I'll set up 5.2.
Thanks, Mayor Schenker. Anyone else? Item 4 is a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. I have a recommendation that the Planning Advisory Committee minutes dated November 9th, 2023 be accepted as presented. Do I have a mover? James, and a seconder? Mayor Shankar, all in favor? Motion is carried. Item 5.1 is PAC Report 01-2024 regarding a CIP application for the Royal Canadian Legion, Fort Wellington Branch 97, located at 141 Henry Street West. The recommendation reads that the Planning Advisory Committee approve in full CIP application 2024-01 for 141 Henry Street West, pending a funding allocation for the CIP from Council under the Downtown Core Riverwalk District area to a maximum of $22,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding, not exceeding 50% of eligible costs and up to the greater of $1,000 or 10% of applicable permit fees. Can I have a mover, Councillor Burton, and a seconder, James, for discussion purposes? Dana Valentine, Economic Development Officer, will speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair Young. So before you, we have an application for the Legion located at 141 Henry Street West. The facility is primarily used for meeting hall, private events, host community events, and also operates a bar establishment within the facility. And they also serve as the emergency evacuation center for the Mayfield retirement residents, just of note. So in recent years, they've run into several critical building and property upgrades, everything from HVAC to some accessible sidewalk issues. They've got some deteriorating sidewalks outside that they've been struggling to maintain. So it's become, it's gotten to the point where it's preventing a lot of their veterans and patrons from accessing the building in a safe manner. And the HVAC is becoming of greater concern, and they now are in dire need of replacement. They cannot continue to allow it to limp along anymore. So they've requested support through the CIP program for a total amount of $22,000 in grants and up to $1,000 or 10% of the building permit fees. Total estimated project value is $43,000. So that definitely exceeds their 50% matching requirement. There's no concerns with eligibility. Everything is in good standing as far as that goes. And of course, they'll be required to adhere to any bylaws, design guidelines as part of the improvements that they're making.
Do I need to?
We did include a photo there.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yep. Do we have any discussion?
I got a question. I guess not so much discussion, but question. I guess maybe Dana, you would be able to answer this one. As far as the emergency evacuation center for the Mayfield, are they compensated for that?
I don't know the details of that arrangement, unfortunately. I just know it was mentioned that they serve.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's I think the Legion is a good thing, but I'm just curious as to whether if they are compensated for it, as to why they haven't, I guess, gone in the direction of the Mayfield to, because Mayfield is owned by Lifetime Living. It's pretty large corporation to assist in this, to assist the Legion so they can remain an emergency evacuation center for them. Because I can't think of a better place closer that would suit that. But I'm just curious as to, I guess, why they wouldn't have asked them to pitch in. to be on standby for them. So,
You would, I think, naturally assume that there would probably be some sort of a, compensation there between Mayfield and the Legion to provide that service.
Yeah.
And that could be, it just doesn't, begin to cover the cost of the upgrades that they're facing. And I think they have explored, to my knowledge, I know they've investigated other funding sources in the past and just haven't been successful, unfortunately. And they've really, their ability, they haven't rebounded to pre-pandemic at this point. They're still really struggling with the ability to generate revenues and get it back to, being fully operational.
yeah, I was somewhat involved with the Legion a little bit back in Niagara as far as insight, and yeah, it's just frustrating, I guess, as far as generating revenues, as far as avenues to approach, but yeah, it can be. Yep,
We can certainly make that inquiry if the committee desires.
yeah, no, I think this is a good thing.
Councillor Burton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. They are doing some fundraising, which is nice. And I think it's called the $100 Club. And they do draws every week. And they still provide the meals on the Thursday, the lunch and the supper. So I think that's helping as well.
Yeah, I go down when I can.
Yes, absolutely. And it's always a good meal. It's nice to see that they're trying their best to raise some funds, but unfortunately, it's just not enough.
Any other discussion? No? Okay, I will now call the question. All in favor? Motion carried. 5.2, and Mayor Shankar moving the table. Item 5.2 is PAC Report 02-2024 regarding a CIP application for Prescott Family Chiropractic located at 114 King Street West. The recommendation reads that the Planning Advisory Committee approve in full CIP application 2024-02 for 114 King Street West, pending a funding allocation for the CIP from council under the downtown area to a maximum of $7,500 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and a maximum of $15,000 in loan funding repayable at 0%, not exceeding 50% of eligible costs and up to the greater of 1,000 or 10% of the applicable permit fees. Can I have a mover? Okay, James. And a seconder? Councillor Burton. Dana, would you like to speak to the report?
Certainly, thank you, Chair Young, through you to the committee. So we have an application before you today from Prescott Family Chiropractic. Very long-standing business. It's been in the same location in operation since 1992. They've made several upgrades to the property throughout the years and have reached that point where it's time for another facelift and some improvements to keep the property operating efficiently. So there are a few improvements the owner plans to make, including replacing the existing fascia signage, the upper signage, as well as the addition of a boulder for their front landscaped area, and potentially some window signage as well. They also plan to repaint the building facade, cornices, and that's not just the front facade, that also includes the east facade as well. If you're familiar with that property, there's a very large exposed wall there that is starting to show some signs of peeling. And the owners also expressed interest in the potential of partnering with the town on using that wall to accommodate a mural that would add, some color and vibrancy to the downtown. It's a really great entry point there. So we were really excited from that standpoint that there was interest there, because this is something that we've explored a couple of years ago, and unfortunately we just didn't get the property owners to come forward that we were hoping to. So it's really great to see this renewed interest in some potential downtown murals. So that would be a nice little side benefit of the project. But the owner themselves have requested 15,000 in loan funding and then up to 7,500 in grants, and then the $1,000 or 10% permit fee. And with the total project value estimated at 44,500. So again, well within the requirement for matching funding. And upon review, there are no outstanding, property orders, issues, outstanding arrears. And we would recommend full approval of the application.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I got questions. Who is the property owner? Am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah, it's Gauri Shankar.
Okay. To be honest with you, I am all in favor of the exterior of the building. I take issue with this being funded for interior painting, flooring, and electrical upgrades. I don't think money should be given to upgrade the interior of a privately owned building and business, because it does nothing for community improvement.
So if I can, that is and always has been an eligible expense that has been approved in pretty much every application that this committee has endorsed.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I believe that shouldn't be allowed. So if you tell me community isn't just businesses. Community is the houses that surround the businesses, the people that live in those houses, that go to those businesses. So you can tell me that my tax dollars that would be going to upgrade that business. So why then is this program not available to homeowners?
It is available to homeowners that have a heritage designation.
No, but I mean beyond heritage. So you're trying to tell me the little old lady that lives by herself, she's on Canada pension or old age pension, she's got knob and tube wiring in her house, and she doesn't have the money to upgrade her electrical. We can't help her, but we can help supposedly a successful business since '92 where he hasn't taken the time to invest. I'll take you to the lemonade stand when I was little. Sorry, I get a little emotional. I ran a little lemonade stand when I was a little guy, and my dad came out to me and said, "You make sure you don't spend all of this money at the store." He said, "Because see that glass jar your mother has given you to put the lemonade in? You need to be able to replace it if it breaks to continue to make money." So that's where I get irked at, because it's a business with income property, that money hasn't been set aside from the business portion and the income property to make these upgrades that a building owner knows are gonna have to happen at some point in time. So why are the taxpayers paying for that?
Go ahead.
So the question around fundamental parts of the program aren't what we're here to discuss this evening. The program was approved by planning advisory, it was approved by council. It came into being last year. So really, if you agree or disagree with the program is not what we're kind of evaluating. We're evaluating this particular application, and which, under the program qualifies for all of those parts. So, if we're talking about emergency repairs, things like that, the United Counties has a program for residential homeowners. There hasn't generally been a CIP that would cover absolutely every residential property.
Well, and that's just, I guess, Matt, and that's what I mean, because I took, after I read that, I took the time to go back through and highlight a few items that are itemized in the community improvement plan. And I see here, encouraging the maintenance of existing housing stock and promoting the rehabilitation, renovation, repair of older buildings. Doesn't say heritage buildings, it says older buildings. And just about every house in Prescott is old. It's got encouraging property maintenance and occupancy standards, and then preserving historical and architecturally significant buildings, enhancing conditions in older predominantly residential areas. So to me, I'm all for the exterior upgrades to the downtown core. I am not, I can't vote in good honesty in favor of anything that includes interior upgrades unless it has to do with creating a space, new spaces for people to live.
So that being said, it meets the criteria. So if you have a personal disagreement with it, that so be it. You can vote how you see fit. Really the questions around the application that you have in front of you and how it applies to the program that you've been approved, not that you disagree with the program.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Counselor?
Thank you. So I'm not even on the same page with you, unfortunately, Jason. We have been running this program for a few years now. It's very, very successful. And people come and go in the downtown constantly. And I might be going into a store and buying the whole building. And I don't like the paint color. But you know what? I just bought the building. Can I afford to buy the paint and the wood and the flooring and everything else that goes with it? Absolutely not. You know, we have some really successful businesses in downtown. Everything's going up in price, right? You run a business. You are just not a business owner. You're a family person per se. You know, you have to look after your family, right? So these people are trying to make these businesses better in our downtown every way possible. And this program says it all. Because we are, as a municipality, investing in our own town. So I'm always a big supporter of helping businesses and to thrive. And is there a little bit of extra money that people can put aside? Maybe, maybe not. But this is the program that they could come to us because they want to make our town better. Interior, exterior, all around.
Thank you, Councillor Burton. And not just on an aside as well, when the interior is appealing, it's your culture that you're creating, your staff, you know, feel comfortable coming in, they're happy with their surroundings, you're going to attract new staff, you're going to keep the staff that you have. And it sounds like, you know, something that's cosmetic, but those cosmetics go a long ways too. The other thing I was happy to see is the cornices too, because that's part of our downtown heritage.
Absolutely.
So is there any other discussion?
Just one quick kind of, you know, coming from your comments, I do feel the need to clarify. This property owner, as mentioned, has been here since 1992. This is certainly not the first renovation or the first money that has been invested in this property. The investments that are being made are going to make this help the space function better for the business that is operating in there. That is the purpose of the renovations. And is the purpose of the renovations in most in all CIP applications that we receive. It's not a cosmetic thing or that someone has just decided they want to change paint color. It's to ensure that the property can serve the business needs as effectively as it can. And interior renovations are critical to preserving the structural integrity of these properties. And that really is the ultimate intent of this program, is to preserve these properties. And you can't put a Band-Aid on something and not deal with those interior issues, whether it may seem cosmetic. There are a lot of interior renovations that have to happen in tandem with those exterior improvements to truly preserve the longevity of these properties. So I just did want to stress that this is certainly not the first investment being made by the owner in this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Any other discussion? No. Now call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 5.3 is PIC Report 03-2024 regarding a CIP application for Nick's Restaurant located at 107 Churchill Road East, Units A to D. The recommendation reads that the Planning Advisory Committee approve in full CIP application 2024-03 for 107 Churchill Road, East Units A to D, pending a funding allocation for the CIP from council under the employment area to a maximum of 52,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and a maximum of 400,000 in loan funding repayable at 0%, not exceeding 50% of eligible costs, up to the greater of 1,000 or 10% of applicable permit fees, and an amount to be determined under the tax increment grant category. Can I have a mover? Councillor Burton, and a seconder? Jason? Okay, Dana?
Thank you. Chair Young, through you to the committee. So we have an application for 107 Churchill Road East, which is currently owned by the owners of Nick's Restaurant, and the property also houses two other businesses, Your Family Dollar and O'Reilly Fitness. There are 4 commercial units in total located in the property, and the owners intend to redevelop it by renovating the commercial spaces, interior and exterior, as well as add a second story to the existing commercial, which would be residential. And in the rear, they plan to demolish the existing storage unit and construct an additional 2-story residential development. So in total, we would be looking at an additional 24 to 36 residential units and renovated 4 commercial units as well. So it will be a complete redevelopment of the property. And I think based on its proximity to existing residential to the east, it's a really good fit with what's happening there. And, you know, just having residential in that area connected to all of those adjacent businesses and services that are available, I think is an excellent fit as well. So they're very excited to move forward with it. As I'm sure you can appreciate, this is a very significant project from just physical undertaking and financial. So they have requested funding support through the CIP program in the amount of 52,000 in non-repayable grant funds, as well as 400,000 in loan funding repayable at 0% interest. And the permit fees as well, up to the greater of 1,000 or 10% of applicable permit fees. In this case, it would certainly be the 10%. And the total investment of the project is estimated to be $6 million. So very significant investment into the property. Really pleased to see that they're moving forward with commercial renovations as well. I think it would be sacrilege really to go in and create new residential above and leave the existing commercial as is. I think it would really add appeal to the property to potential residents moving in and will also serve those residents too. So it looks like, I think it's a great project. They do hope to commence with the commercial portion of the renovation first, and that would start likely in March once the weather warms up a little bit, and then the residential construction would proceed from there. That will be a more of a drawn out process because there would be site plan approvals as part of that as well. So they would commence with that process as soon as they receive funding, and hopefully see some construction happening on that in 2025. And something I have forgotten to note with the applications that we've covered today, as well as this one, the recommendation for funding allocation does depend on an allocation from council. So we are taking a request to council to top up the CIP budget because we have essentially depleted those funds because we've had such a great response to the program. So we'll be approaching council for an allocation to that funding line so that we can support these requests we have tonight,
Thank you.
if approved.
Thank you. Shankar?
Through you, Chair. Dana, are they able to keep the commercial going while they're building above it?
That's the plan, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, keep everything operational. That's why they want to renovate the commercial first and get that back to fully operational before they go with the residential. But they were very insistent on that with the engineers that they've been dealing with, that they need to maintain operations. Especially for the other existing tenants that they're leasing their spaces to.
Counselor Burton?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, James.
Tracy and Deanna, do you know if there's been a feasibility study done just with regards to the footings for the building to see if they'll be able to carry that additional weight already at a time?
They have had some initial engineering drawings prepared and have confirmed that the project is certainly feasible from that standpoint. We haven't received the formal submission of drawings. We've received the, very preliminary drawings from their engineer.
Okay.
That would again be determined through site plan approval.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then is like our money, is it contingent or is their plan on contingent of our money and vice versa is kind of the question. That's a big chunk of money, right? That act as a nice down payment for whatever they're doing for their thing. So I just wasn't sure how that all correlated together.
Well, and with applicants, something to bear in mind is they have to incur the expense first. Yes, to start receiving that money. So they would have to submit proof of expenses before we could start flowing the loan or the grant funds. There is an option now that thanks to Community Futures Grenville, they have established a new fund, which is essentially a loan program that is made available to any CIP applicants that get approved for loan funding through the town, are automatically pre-approved if they so choose to tap into $100,000, up to $100,000 in loans through Community Futures Grenville, which would basically offset their costs to help them finance their 50% portion to get the project moving.
Gotcha. Very good, thank you.
Counselor Burton?
Thank you. In your report, it says Nick's Restaurant is a long time standing business in operation since 2012.
That's Sanjita and them.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, just that, since.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already been
Yeah.
12
10
years.
years,
Yeah.
12.
But I
They
mean,
were operated under previous owners.
yeah, just for a little bit, I think, yeah. And, I remember, you probably remember this too, playing soccer and everybody used to go back to Nick's Restaurant and have some dinner and drinks and stuff. And it's been the same interior for decades. And it'd be really nice to see that, the food is amazing. Nice to see what their changes are gonna be like inside. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's where they really want to bring it into the 21st century and
Yeah.
see it's time.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's exciting.
I just think the exciting part is the 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
Residential, 24 to 36 new
That's-
units, that's huge.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Any other?
Just
Jason?
one quick question.
Yep.
Just so I understand correctly, Dana, the commercial portion, I'm assuming it's gonna be done in phases, obviously the first and the second, but the first phase, the upgrades to the facade, will that be at the same time in tandem, adding the 2 stories so that the facade and the 2 stories will be all kind of done at once?
It'll be designed at the same time, but it would still be phased in. The plan is to do the full first story commercial and then go into the residential construction above that.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? I'll now call the question. All in favor? Motion's carried. Item 5.4 is PAC Report 04-2024 regarding a CIP application for La Boutique Thrift located at 119 King Street West. The recommendation reads that the Planning Advisory Committee approve in full CIP application 2024-04 for 119 King Street West, pending a funding allocation for the CIP from council under the downtown area to a maximum of 5450 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and up to the greater of 1,000 or 10% of applicable permit fees. Can I have a mover for discussion purposes? Councillor Burton, and a seconder? James. Dana.
Thank you, Chair Young, through you to the committee. We have another application before you for a new business coming to 119 King Street West. The name of the business is the Boutique Thrift, owned by Cheryl Snellman. It is a second / thrift store business, so boutique retail. And she's looking at doing some renovations to the interior to accommodate their new setup, everything from some painting, potential drywall, flooring, some electrical. They have to replace a couple ceilings and add a couple walls in to create a change room space. And then they plan on doing exterior facade improvements that I believe we included an image of. Yes, so there's a bit of a concept there that gives you a sense of what they're planning for the space with the new fitting rooms and the exterior. They plan on some new exterior signage and lighting because this property is lacking lighting. New paint to the exterior facade, and everything will comply with the downtown design guidelines. We have confirmed that, and the owner is requesting $5,450 in the non-repayable grants, and then up to the 1,000 or 10% in permit fees. And it meets all eligibility requirements. It's a great, this business has been vacant for some time since the Waterville Quilts relocated her business to Prescott Place. So we're really excited to get this space filled.
Any discussion?
My only concern for this one is that it's a brand new store, but I mean, it's gonna beautify downtown, and like Miss Valentine mentioned to James that they've got to incur the expense before they get the money, so it will help downtown, that area. Thank you.
No? All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 5.5 is PIC Report 05-2024 regarding a CIP application for Curls and Cuts Hair Shop located at 695 Edward Street South. The recommendation reads that the Planning Advisory Committee approve in full CIP application 2024-05 for 695 Edward Street South, pending a funding allocation for the CIP from council under the downtown area to a maximum of 22,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and up to the greater of 1,000 or 10% of applicable permit fees. Can I have a mover? Mayor Shankar, seconder? Jason? Dana?
Thank you. So we have another application for 695 Edward Street South, located within the downtown area. This is a property that was just purchased by an existing business owner, Cuts and Curls, which is currently located in the downtown. So she will be relocating her business to the new location, as well as taking in a new residential tenant on the second story, which is has a 2-bedroom apartment. So they've completed, plan to complete some minor renovations to the apartment portion and a full, complete facelift to the commercial, especially the facade. If you're familiar with the property, it very much has a residential look to it. And there was a business that operated in there formerly, very similar business. And unfortunately, it never had that presence of that true commercial storefront. So that's what the owner really wants to focus on, is giving it that presence that it deserves, and really providing a nice gateway as you're coming, over the bridge. She's very cognizant about revitalization and beautification and really wants to contribute to that in the community. So she's put a lot of time and thought into the facade design, which we have included a concept with the application today. And they are requesting 22,000 in grant funding, as well as the permit fees up to 1,000 or 10%. And the total value of the project is estimated at 45,000. And there are some interior renovations that they will need to complete as well, but I would say the primary work is going into the exterior facade, as well as some parking lot upgrades and just general landscaping too. The owner wants to bring in some new landscaping to really give it some nice curb appeal.
Dana, is there any discussion on 5.5? I was just saying that the application, you really see that pride of ownership and how she's expressed that she wants to be in Prescott for many years to come. So that really shone through for me. And the location too. Like you said, Dana, coming down the overpass will be really sharp having that.
And it's just so nice with business owners, you know, not only, it's easy to bring your business to the community, but there's a real difference between those who are just see a space and a place that will house their business, as opposed to those who truly see that broader vision of the community and all the potential that's there. And she's very excited about it, and we're certainly excited to see that facelift happen.
For sure. Councillor Wooten?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It says here that just over 3 years ago, she's downtown in Prescott, and wow, she's.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember
3 years
ribbon
ago.
cutting it in the
I
blizzard.
remember. Yeah. Beautiful job there.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for her to expand and create another beautiful spot in our town.
And leave a prime commercial space that's basically turnkey now for someone else to rent because of the work that she's done in there through, yeah. So it's a win-win all
Yep.
around.
That's good. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Nope. I will now call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 5.6 is PAC Report 06-2024 regarding a CIP application for River Home & Co. The recommendation reads that the Planning Advisory Committee approve in full CIP application 2024-06 for 192 King Street West, pending a funding allocation for the CIP from council under the downtown area to a maximum of 22,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and up to the greater of 1,000 or 10% of applicable permit fees. Can I have a mover? Jason, and seconder? James? Dana?
Okay, we are at the end. This is the last one. So we've got an application for a 192 King Street West to support River Home & Company, business that has been in existence for nearly a year now, has experienced some great initial success and smart, didn't want to over-invest in initially and did what she needed to do to get the business operational. Has a very nice sign there now, but it doesn't quite meet the required design guidelines, and is now at a point where she's experiencing some success and is prepared to take it to the next level and fully invest in making the business more permanent. So she's identified quite a few facade improvements that they would like to make, including brand new signage and enhanced lighting. There is some lighting there now, but it would be modified to really showcase the new sign. Also wants to explore awnings, which this was a really exciting one for me. And you can actually see one property in the downtown still has one of its original awnings. And this was a tradition in downtowns in the very early 1900s. There wasn't a building that didn't have awnings. They were used for a temperature, like they were truly functional. And but they also added a beautiful aesthetic to the property. So he wants to pursue a black and white awning, very similar design to the traditional ones that you would have seen in the early days. So that has been, would be supported through this funding program. Also wants to do some really nice window boxes to really just, again, dress up the curb appeal of that space. Again, being, you know, really cognizant of how much curb appeal makes the entire area more attractive for potential shoppers, consumers to come. So she's, again, very mindful of the downtown and revitalization and really wants to see the community as a whole be elevated and wants to contribute to that. So we're excited to receive this application and think it'll be a great improvement that is, of course, fully complies with our design guidelines. And the full project value is estimated at $45,000, and they've requested the full grant funding of $22,000 and the permit funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Any discussion? Councilor Burton?
Thank you. I see in her application, the timeline, she's hoping to get everything done before the tourism season, which is fabulous.
Ambitious. She's-
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love.
She's just the type that will get it done.
Yep. Oh, yes, absolutely. I love the outside design. It's curb appeal is gonna be amazing.
Right? Stunning.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 6, new business. Does anyone have any new business they would like to bring forth? And there are no questions from the media. Item 8 is adjournment. I have a recommendation that the Planning Advisory Committee meeting be adjourned. The time is 6:40.
Say, what?
Do I have a mover?
Not at 6:40, 5:40. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, 5:40. Yeah, thank you, Mayor Shaker.
I'm not staying another hour.
Come on. Seconder, Councilor Burton, all in favor? Motion